Now we're jumping across to the Western Conference here. Like our Eastern Conference recording, we broke down our top six teams in the West and who we saw making the playoffs, avoiding the play-in, and obviously having a real chance of winning a ring this year. And I guess let's have a look at a few of my picks here. I started with the Clippers at number one. Well, that didn't happen, but I guess they did make the playoffs. So hey, let's not nitpick too much there. It was nice to see Kawhi come back and then PG go out. It's a bit of a roller coaster in Clipper Town, I think, at the moment. Um, I think again we make these picks at the start of the year where we have to make an assumption somewhat that everyone's healthy. We know players have injury, histories, don't get me wrong, but we sort of have to maybe somewhat assume that they're going to be healthy-ish. And the Clippers really didn't string enough games together to do that. Ultimately, if they'd won a few more games, they would have probably shot up the standings a little bit more here. But I got the Warriors at number two. Again, they had a bit of a really slow start to the season. They finally did settle into a spot there where they avoided the play-in. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's really good to see them in the playoffs here, and I don't know. I think it's interesting how we'll see how they go. I guess this year, coming from the spot that they seeded. I had Nuggets at number three, which I don't know. You wanted to pick some technicalities here. So Nuggets at three is closer to one than Nuggets down the list, Nick. But I don't know how much credit you want to give that. So look, Nuggets obviously finished first. I had them at number three. Suns finished fourth. Where did Suns finish in real life? Fourth?
Yeah.
Fourth. Oh, I don't know. Do I get bonus points there? So
Well, I
Suns
did the
finished.
same thing.
Oh,
So
there you go. Okay, so we're tied on that. And I was in number five at the Pelicans. Similar probably to the Lakers. Sorry, the Clippers situation. I was working on optimism here that Zion would stay healthy, and Zion clearly has let down the whole Pelicans organization, and the fans, and his teammates, and his coaches, and me. So let's not dwell upon that. We'll talk about Zion and should he be traded. That's the next headline for Zion, isn't it? Should he be traded? And T Wolves at number six. And they have made the playoffs now, I guess, by qualifying or winning that last play-in spot. Look, I think at the start of the year, again, and I see them on your list too, we had some level of optimism that the Gobert trade would swing him slightly upwards. And I say slightly upwards. And I think at the end of the day, would have to say it really made no difference at this point. But hey, maybe we'll change our tone here if they cause an upset of the Nuggets. But, we'll see what happens.
yeah, so I think I'm going to preface your list and then the prelude of mine is that the West really was wide open. So when we talk about the Suns finishing fourth and the Pelicans not making it into the fifth spot, the difference between the Suns in the fourth seed and the Pelicans in the 10th seed was 3 wins.
Mm, mm.
So, you know, even though the Pelicans, if you looked at the record now and said Pelicans finished 10th, you were way off. No, you weren't. They were right there. They were right there in contention. And that's not even including the issues with Brandon
Oh,
Ingram and Zion missing so much
I
time.
feel a bit better about myself then. Thanks for the
You should. You should.
positive,
So,
constructive criticism.
so one thing, coming out of these lists is, games played is definitely a big one, and then runs. So, your Golden State, your Clippers pick, they are actually right within striking distance again. The difference between the Nuggets and, the Suns is 8 games. When you go to the Eastern Conference, it's 58 wins for the first seed, and then it's 47 for the fifth seed. It is a different conference there. So, my first pick was Memphis. I felt like they were going to continue that young hot streak from the playoffs. They finished second, and they finished second by only 2 wins. So I felt pretty good with that pick, uh, upon revision. But this next pick aged like milk in a hot sun. I went with the Dallas Mavericks. I felt like they just came off the Western Conference Finals, and they might make a trade, or they picked up a couple of off-season pieces, and Dallas would surge back up into the second, and Luka would have an MVP season, and the only thing that was really guaranteed there was that Luka would have an MVP season. I know that he wasn't in consideration, but his numbers and his impact was clearly there. And we've probably talked about this, and I'm sure it's going to be a topic for a while, but something's wrong in Dallas, and they got to figure it out because they're wasting valuable time with Luka. Because they went from my projected second pick to the 11th seed, and they actually weren't really in consideration at all for the 10th seed. They're 4 wins out, so massive fall from grace, especially when you pick up a player like Kyrie. I had Golden State third, like you had them second. They're defending champs. Um, Even though that they finished with the sixth seed, the sixth seed and the third seed are separated by 4 wins, and theoretically they're competing against the third seed. And if they beat them, they take their spot right into the second round. So, um, you know, it was clearly health. It was clearly games missed by Wiggins and Curry, and them doing the teething of the youth. It's I think we trust them in the playoffs. That maybe the seeding's not as important for them. The Suns, we both projected fourth. I think that's impressive considering that we felt that team that got blown out of the playoffs were going to be a good regular season team. And they added KD and they still finished fourth. And obviously, the KD thing comes with the caveat that he comes late in the season. He actually gets injured. He doesn't start for a while as well. So, um, well done us randomly picking them there. Then I went with the Timberwolves. I really love that trade. I just love doing things. I just like playing 2K in real life and just having teams add all stars for no reason. And that might be starting to click. I don't know. They looked good in the playing game against OKC, but the issue is it's one game in OKC. Um, we'll see how that plays out for the Timberwolves. And then I had the Nuggets. I was low on the Nuggets. I don't know. I felt like there was a window that was lost, or they needed a real shift in their team, and they came out and locked up that one seed really early, and then started to cruise. So for the Nuggets, it's now about proving it at the playoffs. Um, but yeah, fun to go back and this time it hurts a little bit more because I had 5 picks out of 6 in the playoffs, but you also had 5, 6 in the playoffs. But I guess if we had to get really particular, at least the Pelicans are in the play-in, and obviously the Mavs didn't make it. So maybe you won the Western Conference projection crown, and I won the Eastern. Um,
I
yeah,
think I
it's
think I think if something I've learned, I think this is the first time we've done these preseason picks for top six in this way, especially with the play-in format as well. That you almost have to crystal ball which team's gonna pick that one team that's gonna slide all the way down the standings because of drama or injuries or just poor decisions, and then pick a team that's gonna shoot all the way up. And I guess in a sense, in the East, that probably would be like the Knicks. In the West, that would be like the Kings. And like, who would have had the, thought to go, oh, well, the Kings are going to click this year and grab a home court advantage in the West, And I think that's just sort of, I don't know. I think that's the nature of sports. And I don't know. I think it'll be interesting if we do this again into the next, preseason, how we maybe approach this slightly differently.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you gave the Kings a shout out because that's the bonus trade happened at the mid-season, and we kind of like, yeah, it's nice, cool. I don't think we expected this kind of run. Obviously, with a new coach in Mike Brown as well. But you know what? I feel like if I'm projecting forward, those mid-season trades, I think we kind of recognize it's too small of a window. It's too small of a window to really get something clicking and have real impact. And we saw it go in two different directions. We had KD join the Suns and they looked really good. And we'll see how that's going to play out. And then we had Kyrie go to the Mavs and it just looked awful. But what will be interesting if both those players stay with those teams and then they start next season and get a full season with those teams, are we going to see a similar jump like we did with Harden and Philly? And are we going to see a similar jump with, even Tyrese for Indiana for a period of time? There was a serious contender, or at least making a playoff push, maybe. So it's interesting. These mid-season trades, maybe the effect isn't felt until the following season, but it's something to still be conscious of.
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.